It was a Saturday morning. We had just moved to California, the big Orange County. Now you have to understand, I was in Texas all my life. That's where I've been a pastor. And God called us west, away from friends, away from family, away from everybody. So, we're here in Southern California. We move into this place that, of course, we have to rent because we can't afford to buy. And, of course, we, owned a home in Texas, but we couldn't buy a bathroom in a trailer here in California. So we come out of this place, new environment. It was the town is a town home. The girls were all sun lotioned, sunscreened up. I have 3 little ones at this time. They're in their swimsuits. We've really built up this day at the beach. It's going to be incredible. We have everything ready. We have the lunch packed. We are going to have the best day at the beach that anyone has ever seen on the face of the earth. Walk outside. Just moved here. Boxes still in the garage. We need a timeout. We need to go to the beach. Girls need to have some fun. Walk outside to where both of our vehicles were parked the night before. Not only was one of them gone, but both of them had been towed. Oh my goodness. I didn't know if we had been robbed. I didn't know what had happened. And I get on the phone with our landlord, and they had just bought the property before they flipped it to rent it to us, and they didn't know that you could only have one parking space, but you had to have these parking decals in order to park in that area, period. So not only were we parked in 2 spaces, but neither one of the cars had these decals that you were supposed to have. We're from Texas. People park in their front yards in Texas. I mean, seriously, it's you don't have all of these restrictions. And so, man, my blood pressure was just building and building and building. And here I turn around and I look at these little girls, and they're so ready to go to the beach, and we've built this up. And I have to look at them and say, I don't know where our cars are. We can't go to the beach. And I look at my wife, and she just looks at me, and I'm like, oh, kid, we call the movers and go back home. I don't know what's going on here. And I was so angry. So then I began to figure out what had happened. I found out all the information about how we were supposed to register our vehicles and have parking decals, and we moved in and unpacked all the boxes, which you have to call and get a special dump truck to come and get your boxes because they won't fit in your little supplied green canisters. And we're learning all this stuff at the same time as we move here. I was angry. My cars had been towed. I had disappointed my girls. I had to look at them in their eyes, and they were rejected. I really feel like I'd been wronged. But God has His way of sometimes knocking you upside the head. And why I felt like I was just in being angry, God whispered these words in my heart and in my ear. And He said this. He said, Clayton, do you think that what they did to my son was right? Do you think that my son deserved to have happened to him what he had happened to him? Do you think that my son Jesus deserved to have a crown of thorns smashed in his skull, beaten, flesh torn, past the point of anyone, even who was close to him, recognizing who he was? flesh literally torn in such a way that it was hanging off of his body. Do you think that my son deserved that? I recognize that there are going to be times in life to where things happen to us that, yeah, maybe we don't deserve. But it happens for a purpose. And sometimes it's just so that maybe in a small way, in a very insignificant way, we can taste a little bit of what Christ went through. We don't always have to know the answers of why things happen. Sometimes we want to. We don't always have to be right. But what we do need is to understand what God has done, what His Son has been through, and what all of this looks like in our life. So I hope that you explore that. Next time something happens to you and you're like, oh man, that wasn't supposed to happen, or that's not right, I hope that you remember some of the things that Christ went through. And it's not so bad. We can work through it, and we can give God the glory as we are working through it. Have a great week.